Cad Goddeau, a 14th century Welsh poem, consists of 248 lines, and it is known as the Battle of the Trees. Now, what in the R2 does this poem have to do with Star Wars? Well, it's quite simple. John Williams, the clever little Yoda that he is, took this poem, well, sections of it, translated into Sanskrit, and gave it a crazy interpretation. And you can see it today in The Phantom Menace in the song known as Duel of the Fates.
Awesome. I'm so awesome. Awesome, awesome, and handsome. Awesome. I'm so awesome.
Now, this poem, although it's not long, it's located in the Book of Taliesin, and basically the story of it goes that an enchanter has to fight a lord and eventually incites the Battle of the Trees. Now, who is this song about and why? And when I say that, I mean, who did John Williams write it for? Well, the Duel of the Fates is basically the theme of Darth Maul. Now, Darth Maul was born on Dathomir and is the son of Mother Taliesin, a very powerful sorceress. He had two blood brothers, that being Savage Opress and Ferrell, and by his first birthday, he was actually tattooed. So the beautiful red and black tattoos that we see exist when he was 1 year old. This is long before the Battle of Yavin occurred and before the invasion of Naboo, where Sidious was looking for his own apprentice. And what he did, he went to the Dathomir homeworld and was trying to incite Mother Taliesin to become his apprentice. She was super powerful, and he realized that although she would easily eclipse his powers, so what he did instead, he took Maul to be his apprentice. Maul became Darth Maul and studied years under him as his own apprentice and followed the rule of two, created by Darth Bane, obviously. Originally from Revan, obviously. And for years, he was so engrossed and trying and wanting to kill Jedi. And there was thousands of Jedi and 2 Sith, but Palpatine and Sidious was like, no. What we do is we will reveal ourselves when we are ready, and we are not ready. You have to train. So Maul spent a lot of his time hunting Rathdars and other large game, and eventually, being restless, he gets sent off on a mission to the Kellic system. During this time, so this is leading up to the years of 32 BBY, where Maul has to hunt down some pirates. And these pirates are kind of interrupting some trade federation, of course, which are being controlled by Sidious. When he confronts these pirates, Maul finds out information that a Jedi Padawan is being auctioned off. So he hires some bounty hunters. So he hires Cad Bane, Aurra Sing, and some other ones who I can't remember. And they go to Nar Shaddaa, one of the homeworlds for the Hutts. During a bar fight, somebody accused Maul of being a Jedi, so obviously a fight broke out. But the bounty hunters were useful and were able to achieve or receive an invite for the auction. So they go to the Drazkel system, where the Jedi Padawan Twi'lek, Eldra Cadis, was being auctioned off. Maul helps her escape, and although they were pursued and hunted down, the two of them pair up and kill the hunters. Once this was achieved, Maul quickly turned on the Jedi Padawan in a battle that he narrowly survives. So he does defeat her. So part of his Jedi hatred was quenched, but I should add that something that Palpatine had done to him years before was he took him to Malachor, and his hatred really was founded here when there was once a battle on Malachor between the Sith and the Jedi. And the Sith temple located there was also a super weapon, which, when it was utilized, it actually destroyed the two raging armies. And when they were on Malachor, that's when Palpatine force-fed Maul to breathe in the ashes of the fallen two armies, and he was able to see visions and basically had these nightmares, and that started a lot of his hatred. By 32 BBY, the invasion of Naboo started when Sidious started his plans. So Queen Amidala, finding her planet was being controlled, or not bombarded. What's the word I'm looking for? I'll write it here. And blockaded. Oh. So she goes to, her mission is to go to Coruscant, plead to the Senate to give them some aid. So she was helped by young Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn. But although their ship was damaged, so they ended up way in a different world on Tatooine. On Tatooine, Qui-Gon quickly finds the young Anakin Skywalker, who he believes is the Chosen One. Here, Maul is dispatched, and with his blood fin, aka the little speeder bike, which is so cute, does hunt down Qui-Gon, confronts him in a battle, but Qui-Gon is able to escape and they flee. So once again, Qui-Gon does, with Amidala and Obi-Wan, they do eventually return to Naboo, where we do get to see the Duel of the Fates piece of music. And here, when Maul confronts them, they are in the royal hangar, and when the doors part, that's when you hear the music start by John Williams.
We'll handle this.
We'll take the long way.
So you hear the Sanskrit, so you hear the Battle of the Trees translated. While they fought, they moved into the generator complex where Maul struck down Qui-Gon Jinn, and through Obi-Wan's rage, Obi-Wan was able to actually defeat Darth Maul by cutting him in half. And that was the end of the Sith, so as the Jedi believed, and for years, nothing else was heard or seen of them. Except Maul was located on the planet of Lothal Minor, because the Naboo obviously sent their garbage to the garbage homeworld and clearly didn't vet it for bodies that were hewn in half. Maul survived, somehow. Using the dark side, he fueled his rage, and he became so corrupted in his mind that his mind was broken. But he was able to formulate legs between garbage, so he had this spider-like quality to him. And this is when the Clone Wars was now ongoing. So Sidious, once he realized that his apprentice was gone, he convinced Count Dooku to become his new apprentice. And Dooku obviously had been the master of Qui-Gon Jinn and really suffered through the loss of his former Padawan. So his leaving the Jedi Order was not a difficult decision for him. And Dooku also, so he was now in charge of the Separatists, the Confederation Army, which is basically still under control of Palpatine, and it was a ruse for a major plan of Sidious to rule the galaxy. So, Dooku also had an acolyte known as Ventress, and she also was of Dathomirian origin, and Sidious recognized that Dooku and Ventress would be a potential threat, so he ordered Dooku to kill the assassin Ventress. When that happened, Ventress did not die in the attack, but she retreated to Dathomir, where she went and pleaded with Mother Talzin that they needed to get revenge on Dooku. So what they started, and also at this time, Dooku still wanted an assassin and an underling. So what he did, he approached Mother Talzin foolishly. And they had him plan using Darth Maul's brother, Savage Opress, as a sleeper agent. And they created him into this like huge foe. And in this situation, basically, Dooku would, he would have his assassin and his cake too. Although eventually, Mother Talzin, you see in this story that she has ulterior motives. Yes, she's helping Ventress, but she's also going to help Maul. So she sends Savage Opress to Lothal Minor to retrieve her lost son. And he brings him back, they kind of heal him up, take the darkness from his mind, and give him actual proper legs once again through magic. After this, Maul recognizes his hate and his hatred towards specifically Obi-Wan Kenobi and to Sidious. So he wants revenge, and he can only achieve it by enticing the Jedi out. So they go to Redonia and kill some Jedi at a temple and start killing civilians. And they send a holo recording to the Jedi on Coruscant. So Obi-Wan Kenobi goes to investigate and to see that if it was Maul who had actually survived. And of course he had, because Maul, he ain't dead. So at this point, Maul and Savage, they attack Obi-Wan, tricking him. And also Ventress, she was now kind of a bounty hunter and realized that she felt betrayed by Savage Opress. So she helps Obi-Wan Kenobi fight the Night Brothers, and they escape. Realizing that they were not even a match for Obi-Wan and Ventress, Maul was furious because he knew he wouldn't be able to take down Sidious. So what he did is he went to Florum and decided that he needed an army. And he's going to hire pirates to be his army, which is the worst option you can go with. So this was a huge mistake on his part. So once they hire some pirates who would eventually betray him, Obi-Wan Kenobi, with the help of Adi Agalia, another Jedi Master, they go off to Florum. And here they go up against the brothers once again. Adi Agalia is killed. Savage, he punctures her with his horns on his head into her chest, and she dies horribly. Obi-Wan cuts off Savage's arm, but the brothers still flee, and the pirates shoot down their ship, and everyone once again believes that Maul is dead, but he ain't dead. They went through an escape pod and jettisoned into space. Now, yay, Christmas beer sizes! Maul and Savage were basically on this escape pod, running out of oxygen. So what happens? Death Watch shows up. The Force sent them their saviors. Now, Death Watch, they are a subgroup of Mandalorians who believe that the pacifist rule was not adequate for Mandalorians, as they were warriors for thousands of years. So their ultimate goal is to usurp Duchess Satine and her pacifist government. So they decided that they were going to be in agreement with the two Night Brothers, who were Sith Lords, as they describe themselves. So the two brothers and the Death Watch Mandalorians started the Shadow Collective. They went to Mustafar, where they approached Black Sun, and convinced the Falleen there that you should join us or we're going to kill you. And then they did kill some of them, and then the rest of them joined. After that, the Pikes were like, we'll join because we like preservation. And then they did approach the Hutts, because a story isn't complete without some Hutts. And there the Hutts refused, sent some bounty hunters after the brothers and Death Watch. But ultimately, the brothers succeeded and convinced Jabba the Hutt to pair up with them. So this is where things got interesting. So on Mandalore, they kind of started a black market. And here, through the influence of these guys doing illegal things, Death Watch was able to come in and then pretend to be the heroes. So the public embraced these people, and Maul, although being the secret behind them, you have Pre Vizsla, who was the public figure. Although Pre Vizsla was not satisfied with the fact that everything would have been under Maul's control. So they challenge each other. And Maul defeats Pre Vizsla, obviously, in a duel, achieving Pre Vizsla's beautiful black saber, which was created by one of the only Mandalorian Jedi way back in the day, and keeps Duchess Satine in prison. And at that point, Maul was now known as Mandalore. This kind of divided the super commandos that had been under Pre Vizsla's watch. And Satine at this point also had her nephew, Corky. Hold on. Also had her nephew Corky help break her out of prison. She was able to send a message to the Jedi Council, who recognized that yes, they were in trouble, and yes, it was Maul, or they didn't quite realize Maul, but we couldn't do anything. The Jedi, in their foolishness, realized that, I'm sorry, we're part of the Republic, you guys are a neutral system, so we ain't coming. Obi-Wan goes, because Obi-Wan is the hero for everyone, he is the hero that we all deserve, to help Satine, his almost lover. And when he goes, he takes Anakin's G9 Corellian shuttle, and which is up there, known as the Twilight, and it's a shoddy ship. So what happens is he helps her escape. Death Watch and the remnants of Maul's troops shoot down the ship and take her back in prison. Maul then gives the option to Obi-Wan to join him or embrace the dark side. And Obi-Wan sympathizes, just being like, you've never had a choice in your life. You've always been like this. And Maul, furious, strikes down Satine. And Satine dies in Obi-Wan's arms, just like how Qui-Gon and so many others would die in his arms. To Satine. She's a great character. So much that I wrote a book about her, which no one will read. After this, Maul was in control of Mandalore, but he underestimated someone. AKA, he forgot about Palpatine. Sidious arrives, stealing in the night, and confronts the Night Brothers. He kills Savage Opress, and he humiliates Maul, and Maul begs for mercy. And Sidious is like, I'm not going to kill you. I have other plans for you. So Maul is then imprisoned on in the Stygian system. Let me double check. Yes, in the Stygian system. And when this happens, Maul is basically tortured by Dooku and Sidious. And what they're trying to achieve is they're trying to get the information of the Shadow Collective from Maul. So they want to know who the other individuals involved in and how they can take it over and use it to their advantage. Also, they want to find out where Mother Talzin has disappeared, because she's somewhere and she is a potential threat for Sidious. So, though Maul still has some troops loyal to him, Mandalorian troops, so Gar Saxon with some others, they go and they rescue Maul, aka Sidious lets him escape. There they go off to the Zanbar system, where they regroup with Death Watch and the Pikes. And once again, the Confederation, they go in, and the Separatists, and they decimate Maul's troops. After this, they flee to Ord Mantell on the direction orders of Mother Talzin. And there she sent a group of Night Brothers to help defeat Dooku. And so that's actually where he gets to reconnect with his brother Farrell. So the Separatists, they orbital bombard the planet and decimated Maul's troops. But somehow he is able to imprison and capture Dooku and Grievous. They retreat to the Mandalorian outpost, so they go to Vizsla Keto 9. And here they plead with Dooku, just explaining to him that Sidious will turn on you. He has no issue with turning on anyone, because he turned on Maul, he turned on Mother Talzin when he said she would be the apprentice and then stole her son. And Dooku is like, okay, I kind of believe you, I'll kind of work with you. So at this point, they go to Dathomir, and here they use Dooku's body as kind of the way to, because Mother Talzin, she's kind of like going through the Force. She doesn't have an actual like body, so they use a body. She comes out, and Dooku once again betrays them, and that's when a battle happens between Sidious, Dooku, Grievous against Maul and Talzin. So recognizing that these foes were too much for the pair, Mother Talzin forces Maul to leave, and he's distraught. He's watching his mother sacrifice herself, and she dies. And he goes off, he retreats to Mandalore with his troops that had helped him. On Mandalore, this is days leading up to what we know as Order 66. He still meets resistance. Bo-Katan, Duchess Satina's sister, was being helped by Anakin Skywalker's former Padawan, Ahsoka Tano, and with Captain Rex, because who doesn't love Rex? He's the best. And they ultimately defeat Maul, once again capturing him. And then, of course, Order 66 happens, so in that confusion, Maul escapes. And so does Ahsoka and Rex, because Rex didn't have the chip in his mind. After that, we lose track of Maul for a couple of years. We do know that he is in command of the Crimson Dawn, so we do see him in the Han Solo film. How that happens, we're not quite sure yet. That information's not out. Hopefully we'll get some updates soon. But we do know eventually, about 2 years before the Battle of Yavin, or if not before that, he goes to Malachor. But 2 years before the Battle of Yavin, the Ghost Crew, comprising of Ezra, Kanan, and Ahsoka Tano, were told by Yoda, you need to go to Malachor. So they go to Malachor. And this is where they find Darth Maul. And as far as we know, it could be possibly he was there for a couple of years. And when he's there, he convinces Ezra he's just like a feeble old man, nothing to worry about. And here, his ultimate goal is he needs the Sith holocron. And he can only achieve getting this holocron with the help of Ezra Bridger. So, calling Ezra his apprentice, they go through and they're able to get eventually to the Sith holocron. But the Inquisitors had learned of where they were. So the Inquisitors, it was the 5th and the 8th brother and the 7th sister, confront the rebels and Maul. And here, this is when Maul helps the rebels defeat the Inquisitors, but quickly turns on them and blinds Kanan Jarrus. So at this point, Kanan is blind. In a fight, Maul does eventually fall off the temple, and note again, it's on Malachor, so he had already been there once long ago with Sidious. And after this, Maul had also felt in the Force that Darth Vader was about to show up. And if Darth Vader's showing up, you want to leave, unless you're me, because I would stay, because it's Darth Vader. After this, Maul knows that he wasn't successful. So Ezra Bridger has the Sith holocron. And so what Maul does is he eventually tracks down the Ghost crew, captures them, and gives Ezra the option of, I will only release your friends. Release. He's going to kill them anyways. If you bring the Sith holocron and the Jedi holocron. Because Maul had discovered that if you join a Sith holocron and Jedi holocron, you can find the answers you so desperately are looking for. And the answers, of course, what he's looking for at this point is he's looking for Obi-Wan Kenobi. So he tells Ezra, I'm searching for hope. And we know that's Obi-Wan. And Ezra is looking for a way to defeat the Sith. And at this point, he was kind of like tantalized by... he was flirting, you could say, with the dark side. So they combined the two holocrons, but before they could actually see the actual location, Ezra sees twin suns, and Maul's like, I see him. And Maul realizes Obi-Wan Kenobi is still alive, and his whole life goal at this point is still to kill Obi-Wan Kenobi and to kill... Palpatine, eventually, if he could. But he wants Obi-Wan more for everything that Obi-Wan has helped stop over the years. Eventually, he was able to figure out twin suns meant Tatooine. He goes to Tatooine. And using Ezra kind of flushes out where Obi-Wan is located, discovers Obi-Wan Kenobi, who he accuses him of being a rat in the desert. But Obi-Wan, he wasn't in hiding. He wasn't hiding from Order 66 and Sidious and everything else. He was protecting the son of the Chosen One. And Maul kind of reveals that you're here for a reason. You're protecting someone. And that's the moment Obi-Wan's like, I now have to kill you. There is no option. I have to protect Luke Skywalker. So, in their final duel, Obi-Wan and Darth Maul fight, and Obi-Wan quickly cuts down the former Sith in the desert night. It's a heartbreaking moment. It's quick, but Obi-Wan was a knight on duty, and he didn't want to do it, but he had to. Maul recognizes that he was almost wrong in what he had to do in this challenge, but again, it occurred. So this is the end of Darth Maul. But, canonically, it's not actually the end of Darth Maul. We do see him in the Shattered Empire comic when, after the death of Sidious, Palpatine, and the second Death Star, he had Operation Cinder in place. So whenever Palpatine died, things would get blown up. So he decided to target his homeworld and blow it to pieces. So he had set up satellites around the planet, and the underlings, the officers, set it in motion that it would create this like storms on this planet. And once that happened, it would destroy the population. They couldn't even escape through ships. But luckily, Leia had been sent on a mission by Mon Mothma to go to the planet. And when they go to the royal hangar to get some ships so they could fly and blow up these satellites, Leia senses Maul's presence from so many years before. And she's like, I feel cold. And you just see Maul's eyes above her in the royal hangar. And it's a beautiful, haunting moment. So that's the life and death of Darth Maul. That took a while. I apologize. The point of this video is that using this 14th century poem of 248 lines, we have created this character and given him like an enticing figure that fans and story-wise is so beautiful. So in the Battle of the Trees, basically what happens is a dog is stolen. And a battle occurs between an enchanter, Gideon, and versus the Lord of Anon, known as Lord Aaron. And the battle, what happens in the battle, Gideon is successful because as an enchanter, he convinces entices the forest to become his army and has the trees fight humans. So it's very Lord of the Rings, very Ent-like, which is great. Yeah. So the section that John Williams used specifically for the music goes as this. Under the tongue, root of flight, most dread, and another raging behind in the head. So that was translated into Sanskrit and is the music that we love and hold and fear when we see Darth Maul on screen. That being said, to Darth Maul, one of the best Sith that we have seen on screen, we love you, we miss you, and you look fantastic in red, as always. If you want to read a really good non-canonical story, check out Lockdown by Joe Schreiber in the Legends, what's considered Legends now. But basically, he is sent to a prison to retrieve information by Sidious and can't use his Force powers to be known as a Sith or Force user. And he even has to fight a Wampa at one point because it's Darth Maul. So, if you want to check out that book, or if you just want to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, you can also hear me on Legends Library with the Coffee with Kenobi Network. That being said, we miss Darth Maul. He's one of the best Sith Lords. Adios.